tell me this. Does it get tiring?
It doesn't for me, because every time I'll put like, 2 sites or 2 things I've never done before, so I'm always looking forward. But every time you go back, you learn more about even those sites you've seen all those times. So I started taking groups in '79 on the college level. Did that for to 90 or to 87. Yeah, 87. And then after that, seminary groups.
And how big a group do you like to take?
No bigger than 25. 25 is my max. I like 15. Because I can guarantee you, with 15 people, you're going to see 2 more things a day times 8 or 10 days. I'll guarantee it. Yep, and that is a good sight. You'll see the big bus is 55 passenger, but that gets old real quick when you're leading the stuff. But,
you get good class credit for that too.
Yeah. Yep. We do each year we do an Israel trip. We do a Greece, and if Turkey's okay, a Greece-Turkey trip, and then this year we're going to start a church history tour to footsteps of Luther, footsteps of Calvin. And
so how do you kind of years ago through?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. What an education, though. I mean, really, that is you learn so much in 2 weeks.
I went as a student by myself in summer of '73 and studied at the American Institute, which is now the Jerusalem College. But it was on the southwest corner of the old city, just outside the wall. So from our dorm room, 3 minutes and you were into the old city. It was down the wall from the Jaffa Gate. And they had a course called Historical Geography, where you would travel 3 days, have class for a day and a half, travel 3, day and a half, travel 3, day and a half, and you do that for 3 weeks. And you do the segments, and just what you come back with. And back then, that was 30 years ago, back then the West Bank was pretty safe, because it was just after the 6-7 war and the 73 war. And you get on the Arab buses and you'd go Ramallah and Jenin and Nablus and all these places, not even think of any problems.
Was that the first time that you went there? Was during that trip?
As a student, yes. And then I went back, I was at student at Dallas Seminary, went back, Dr. Walke and Dr. Honer headed a tour. They took 40 students and some wives. But my wife and I, we did all the behind the scenes work for them with the airlines and the hotels and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of got us interested in starting to lead tours. But we did, it was a 3-week tour. We did 17 flights in 3 weeks. It was Bananaville. We flew from Dallas to New York to Athens, Greece. Then we went over to Turkey, toured. Then we went to Cyprus. Then we went to Lebanon. Then we went to Egypt. Then we went back to Lebanon. Then we went to Israel. Then we went to Rome and some other places. Yeah, it was bananas. It was bananas. It was bananas, but as you look back, I mean, you figure, you saw a lot quick. At least you saw enough to say, I'd like to go back there and see this more extensively than that. But it was kind of like an eye-opener to the Middle East. Anyways, let's see. Let's come to the end of our story. We ended with what? Page 50. Okay, let's start with page 52. We have about 4 pages to go, and we will have this complete. Abraham, Nenu, Atsuv, Od. from Ain. Za'uv, to be sad. Yeah. Sarah, Hatha, Ra'ohel. Yeah, Sarah was in the tent. He, Sama, Et, Asher, Amar, Ha-O-Reach. Yeah, she heard that idea. The guest said. She laughed and she laughed and did not say a word. Didn't speak a word. Abru, Yamim, Rabim. Many days passed. Abra, Shana. Yeah, years passed. Sarah, Yelda, Bain. Yeah, Sarah bore a son, had a son. Abraham, Vasarah, Nathnu, Todah, Le Lohim.
Abraham and Sarah gave thanks to God.
Yes. Amra, Sarah. Sarah said, Ha-O-Reach, Amar Ki, Elohim, Nephain Li Bain, Va-Ani, Sa-Kakti. The guest
Heard.
Amar, the guest said, will give to me a son, and I laughed. Hashem shall bani Yaveh Yitzchak. Yeah, will be Isaac. Abraham kara et Shem beno Yitzchak.
Abraham called out all the names of his son.
Good. Abraham called name of his son Isaac. Hulo, Haya, Azuv, Od. He was not sad again. Come to our final 2 pages. Ha-Berith. Covenant. Akare. Ha-Devarim. Ha-Elah. Amar. Elohim El Abraham. One more time.
After the matters,
yeah. After these matters, these words.
Okay, after these words,
probably matters. You're good.
Elohim said to Abraham.
Good. Beit El Hashemayim. Look towards the heavens. Final page. Here we go. Ha Yodea Ata Kama Kokavim Ba Shemayim. Notice the first letter. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many stars are in the heavens? Kama is how many? Hayako ata lish por et ha kokavim. Are you able to number the stars? Not able to number the stars. Az Amar Elohim. And God said, Kol Yiveh Sarika Rav Kokavim. Struggle with this one. It has echo to it. Yeah. Yeah. Thus will your seed be, your descendants, your seed, understood as many as stars, as many stars. Vagam et ha'eretz hazot ani nothain la zar eka. Hazot? Hazot? Also this land I will give to your seed. Abraham, Sarah, Yitzhak, Hithpalilu Lelohim. Stacy, you're on fire today, guy. Abraham, Sarah, and Isaac. They prayed to God. Hain, Nafnu, Todah, Va, Amaru. They gave thanks and said, Ain. Ha, Moka, Elohim, Avinu, Malkenu. Conquer this, we can close the book. Kamoka means like you. Avinu, Melkenu. Put it together one more time, the last sentence. Ain. Very good job. Very good job. Okay, for those on video, we have just completed the second short story. My encouragement for the future is every once in a while get those books out and plow through them, work your way through them. It'll help you on simple sentence structure, vocabulary, syntax, and the like. But good way to refresh, along with going through your vocab cards and moving from there to biblical translation. Okay, what we will do, the worksheet coming around, we will give you, let's see, there are 13, looks like 4 verses here out of the Scripture. And I'll pass a little dictionary around. You have about, let's see, 20 minutes. See if you can conquer the passage in 20 minutes. While you do that, I'll make a couple of copies, and we will be ready for the early afternoon also. Those on video, work on the handout coming around, and this handout in your packet should be the last biblical handout apart from Nehemiah that we'll be working on. Okay, we're back with our work assignment in class here, and did everyone figure out what passage it is or what it's about? Yeah. And Moses said to God, based from context, you know it's definite. It's just not a God out there. The God, that idea.
It's kind of like capitalization, man. Big G is opposed to small G. What we do normally. There are passages in Kings, especially when I think it's Elijah's going up against the prophets of Baal and Ashtoreth, where you'll have Elohim used 2 times in one verse in 2 different ways. The God of Israel, the gods of the Canaanites. So in one it will be plural, polytheism. The other one, singular, so to speak, by way of the true God. But is that by context or by the way that the endings are in the word?
By context, because both words look the same.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. Okay, who will take verse 13 for us?
I myself will go to the sons of Israel and say to them, my God. And Moses said to God, I myself, behold, I myself will go to the sons of Israel and say to them, Elohim, my God.
Yeah, Moses said to God, behold, I went to the sons of Israel, and I said to them, God of your fathers sent me to you. Yeah, what is his name?
what it is he sent. He sent me. So it's a suffix pronoun. You talking about here? Oh, okay. First line. For God the fathers, and Abraham, and Isaac, and Jacob, step into in that expression from everlasting to everlasting, God our eternity idea. Good job. Okay, we are at about let's see here. This chart that is in several of the grammars, but what it does is it kind of gives you a priority list. You think, oh, the whole global system, but you give an overview of what you have of the global system. But then note here, for those on video, just making a note concerning this chart that occurs in several of the grammars of the occurrences of different verbal stems, but of course a priority list here. And I would spend your first a large amount of time on the verbal stem with the cal, then with the hifel, then with the pl, nifel. And very simply go to the different grammars, read through their chapters, kind of put together a file, a list on that stem, and great examples, how the translation is done, the nuances, and kind of start at the top of the list with the highest priority and work through it. But 71,510 verbal stem usages there in the Old Testament. Well, now we have to make sure that even on a Saturday morning that your vision is good, and we have discovered a text, and we have to see if our exegetes here can work with this text and decipher what it is. And so, from the sands of someplace, here comes your text. Those on video, if you will work away for a few minutes on this, and then we will come back in just a few minutes. Concerning parsing Hebrew verbs, you'll probably enjoy this poem. When the Hebrew verbs are grim and the chance of parsing dim, remember God this language chose, He from whom each blessing flows. Or another one, poetic parsing. The servile letters cast away, and if behind three letters stay, you have the root without delay. But if you have not letters three, the root you seek is one, which drops initial yod or nun. A middle vav or yod may show the letters three you want to know. Perhaps the letter which stands second, to make the three must twice be reckoned. Or finally, perhaps you may require to add a final hey. That's from the Hebrew Student's Manual. Okay, work with that text for a few minutes, and we'll come back and see if you have deciphered its source. Don't give it up yet, if you know. And let's start not with the title, but with the first line. No. Close. Sound out the title. What's it say in Hebrew? Kippah. Kippah. Used of a little prayer cap among the Jews, right? Kippah. Yeah, yarmulke, and they also kippah. Let's see what we have here. Did anybody find the root for the cap in that in there?
Palm branch. Lofty or palm branches.
So we have red and little, right?
Yep.
And kippah. Then what? First line. Kippah can also mean hood. So little red hood. Writing's not there, but that should give it away.
I mean, wow, it's red.
Mm-hmm.
Why was I getting
It's where you get the word for Edom.
Oh, I do. I'm sorry.
Okay? What's our subject? First sentence.
Little girl.
Yeah, little girl. There was a little girl,
Her name was Little Red Hood.
and her name was Little Red Hood.
Of course, she always put on a red hood.
Yeah, she always put on, what do we do with lavsha?
It's a show that feminine, or wait, put on, lavage, just to put on. And
The feminine ending.
feminine ending.
Put on a red hood. She lived in the middle of the city with her mother, Imam, with her with their brother. In a small stone house, Eben. Small house of stones, we'd say a small stone house. Okay, third line. Yeah, her mother said to her, imperative, imperative of halak.
Go to, is that the tent?
Yeah, go to the tent of your grandmother.
That's the thing that there were kids. That kind So what is? You're way too puritanical. In a wilderness. So what is the Zekah?
It's you can see it's from
Ever or old?
as a cane, so it's grandmother. To your grandmother who?
Who lives in the wilderness.
As in the wilderness. Feminine ending. Yeah, take to her bread and fruit. Go only on the road and not in the field. Bait, tate, hate. Someone look that up for us in the yellow. Bait, hate, tate. What do we do with the last word? Bazarim? Foreigners.
And it starts with the bait?
Yeah. What do we do with the verb before it? That's the idea. Bait, tate, hate. What's the root? Okay. Let's go on. We'll keep looking. We'll come back. Little Red Hood said, yeah, it's a pretty well, I hear your word, I hear your voice, I'll do what you say. It's that kind of a response. And right, and she what? Yeah, went along the road, and behold. Yes. So go back to that term, everyone. Let's see. The bait, tate, hate. Line 4, third word. Means what? Secure?
Security, safety,
safety, trust.
Do not trust strangers?
That's the bottom line, yep. And behold, here comes another beast.
So what's the word for wolf?
Zev. It's a very popular name for men. Z-E-Z-V. Wolf. Zev.
In a positive way.
You hope. You hope.
I mean, to emphasize masculinity or something, or what?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, that would be as opposed to the American fox.
That's right.
Wow.
And behold, was in the middle of the wilderness. Evil beast. Behemoth. Ra'ah there is evil. No, it's Ra'ah. From evil. Yeah, as Little Red Hood went in the wilderness, the evil beast saw her. Next line. And it said to her,
where are you from?
Not to her, it said to itself.
Where did she come from?
And she said in her heart,
How do you translate the first word of that word?
let's go back. Go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the sixth line. Let's start there again. Was in the middle of the wilderness. Little Red Hood went, rode in the wilderness. Evil beast saw her. I think I dropped down the line too much. That was the problem.
No, and he said to himself.
She said in her heart, said to herself.
Yeah, and she said in her heart. No, and it said in her. Remember that who, which is he, can mean he or it. He can mean she or it. So it's referring to the beast. Yes. Well, yeah.
Yeah, because you can't discriminate against those who children.
I'm throwing the political
Keeping it sharp, Stacy. Keeping it sharp. And it said in its heart, who? Yeah. Who is this young girl? Little girl, young girl. And what are the things in your hands? Beast went to the young girl, said to her, Ma. What are the things which are in your hands? And Anna. Close. And where are you going? Kipa Aduma.
Red Hood.
This is what you're not supposed to do according to the Bible. Shakat. No, it's the opposite of zakar. Yeah. She forgot
all which her mother said to her.
Yeah. She said,
I'm going to the tent of my grandma.
yes, to,
Take her bread and fruit.
yes, next line.
The beast, the evil beast.
This is a form of halak, imperfect, kiln perfect, first common singular. I will go there to. I will go there, understood, to take the, or to take what? Everything. Food.
And Little Red Hood.
Little Red Hood. Next line.
The
The beast went on another road to the tent of grandmother, her grandmother. Little Red Hood. And she she said, good food, good. Next line. Middle of the tent. Little Red Riding Hood. Come, and I will take it from your hands. Little Red Riding Hood. Remember.
This voice.
And?
Said.
Is that? That's it. Next line. And behold. From the tent. Come to the tent and it's from Yada. Yada, to know. Kel imperfect. And you will know that I am your grandmother. Little Red Hood. Middle of the tent.
Just according to
Ka can mean also what? When?
She was in the tent. She saw her. Yeah.
She saw the behemoth. Where? Well, Mishkav. The bed of Little Red Hood.
Didn't know that the beast had come.
Getting kind of gruesome here. And
put on garments.
yeah, her garments, her clothes. Little Red Hood said, the beast said, yeah, with my big eyes.
Big eyes. Can't see. I'm able to see you.
Mm-hmm. Last but not least. Yeah, a little bit's not there, but it's down to the last couple lines of the story.
That's all we got. And here. Yeah, I think we need two. Well, let's see. Let me grab one of those. Keep going. Okay.
In the great mouth, all from all food,
Keep going.
also you. Uh-oh. The plot thickens. What's Tommy? Oh, continually or regularly? And regularly.
In the morning. Keep going. Heard these words. She saw that.
The beast rose from the dead.
Okay.
Took her hands, grabbed him, and ate her. And ate her. No. Well, no.
These nursery rhymes we read as a kid,
Yeah.
pretty gruesome.
They've been abridged. Equal opportunity. Should have never. The words which the manner of words which she heard and did not heard were good. Not weird. Not happy. Go again. Or she, you know that the words which she heard were not good. Did she ever eaten? This is an epilogue.
The beast, come on.
The beast said,
Come on.
where? We're on the, we're on the beast. Yeah, the beast rose. Is that a rose? That's 4 months. Oh, you were up there. Oh. Isn't that Rose? No.
Rose from the bed?
Yeah.
And did what?
And took her hands.
Took her hands
And ate her.
and then, and when?
The beast.
She knew that. We're not good. Okay, last line and a half. The beast said in his heart, or in her heart, in its heart.
This is not good. This is a problem. There's my big eye, you guys.
Yeah, it's the term for stomach or belly. The mem is comparative. Prefix mem is comparative.
So the eyes are bigger than his stomach.
That's right.
So you just couldn't eat her. Right before lunch.
I am very sick. We had the word for sick in our other translation the other day. I am very sick. Then what?
Very good.
It's not good. To eat also. Grandma. And also.
The little girl. And the same thing. We've got a budget.
And wouldn't you know, this story ends just before lunch. 4 more minutes is lunchtime. So, good job. We will reconvene in about an hour and get into Nehemiah 3 and complete the course. Dorsey, page 121. And again, you've done work in Ruth. Simply take a look at 11.4, page 123. Ruth and Boaz meet. Introduction, Ruth goes out and gleans. Boaz arrives, hears about Ruth. Turning point, Ruth and Boaz meet. Boaz invites Ruth to join him and his harvesters for a meal. Ruth arises, gleans again in Boaz's field. Conclusion. Good layout there on page 124, 125 that you've already dealt with. Page 126, the book of Ruth, introduction. A, devastation of Naomi's family. A prime, restoration of her family. B, 2 of Naomi's relatives deliberate whether to support her. B prime, 2 of her relatives deliberate whether to support her. Return to Bethlehem in emptiness and hopelessness. C prime, Ruth's appeal at the threshing floor and her return to Bethlehem in fullness and hope. Turning point when both of them meet. Page 128, conclusion. The structure of the book of Ruth may reveal several insights about the book and its message. First, it is noteworthy that the book begins with 3 episodes marked by tragedy, despair, hopelessness, and ends with 3 episodes that feature ever-increasing hope and ultimately triumph. This suggests that the composition was intended to be an uplifting story designed to encourage and inspire the audience. The book's layout is also obviously intended to create and retain tension and suspense. Next column. First paragraph, the book's layout may also reveal one of the primary morals of the story. The book is structured so that the meeting of Ruth and Boaz is the turning point of the story. At the bottom, the admirable qualities exhibited by Ruth and Boaz can be used by God to reverse the fortunes of a whole family or even the fortunes of a whole nation as shown by the final outcome of the story, the Davidic dynasty. Okay, go over many pages to 158. Say a few things about book we've done some work in. The books of Ezra and Nehemiah tell the intriguing story of how Jewish exiles returned from Babylonia to resettle in the land of Judah. Although Ezra and Nehemiah are two books in the English Bible, they are generally reckoned as one book in Hebrew Bible. Structural analysis supports their compositional unity. You have a couple-page handout on that issue. Take a look at page 159, 15.1, Rebuilding of the Temple, and the whole series there that takes you through most of Ezra and then continues on into Nehemiah chapter 1 and verse 2. Page 162, Esther. The book of Esther tells the story of how the Jewish feast of Purim was instituted when a Jew named Mordecai and his niece Esther saved the Jewish people during the reign of the Persian king Xerxes. Dropping down, shifts in time, place, character, and topic delineate most of the episodes, and a banquet or a fast marks the conclusion of a number of episodes. Careful analysis of the story suggests that it is made up of 13 episodes, primarily arranged in a chronologically linear pattern. Dropping down, in addition to the linear scheme, the 13 episodes also form a symmetry with the seventh center episode functioning as the story's turning point. Next column at the top, the structure of the book of Esther offers several insights about its function and meaning. Number one obvious point is that the story's layout is designed to entertain the audience by creating and holding suspense for as long as possible. For example, the tension created by Haman's terrible edict is introduced early in the story, but the audience is kept in suspense until near the end, when we finally learn how this terrible scheme was neutralized. Likewise, the audience must wait in suspense to learn whether Esther's attempt to save the people will work. Dropping down, second, the story's structure also reinforces the author's use of irony. For example, the irony involving Haman's gallows is highlighted by structurally matching the episode of Haman's building of the gallows with the episode in which he is hanged on them. 16.1, page 163, layout of the entire book of Esther. A, King's Proud Feast. A prime, Jews' Feast of Purim. B, Esther becomes queen. B prime, Esther wins second day for Jews in Susa. C, King's life is saved. C prime, Jews' life saved. D, Haman's plot. D prime, Haman's plot is foiled. E, Mordecai learns of Haman's plot. E prime, Mordecai and Esther given Haman's estate. F, Esther invites King and Haman to her first banquet. F prime, Esther invites King and Haman to a second banquet. Turning point G, Haman's fortunes turn. He honors Mordecai the Jew. Okay, go over to page 290. This will be our last example, I believe. Jonah, and what we want is page, 293, 31.3. 31.3, Jonah and the pagan sailors. Jonah chapter 1 through 16. Notice here, A, Yahweh hurls a great wind upon the sea. A prime, sailors hurl Jonah into the sea. Same term being used. B, sailors cry out in vain to their gods. B prime, sailors cry out to Yahweh. C, sailors frantic and futile efforts to save ship by throwing cargo overboard. C prime, sailors frantic and futile efforts to save ship by rowing harder. D, Jonah does nothing to save the ship. D prime, Jonah finally acts to save it. E, sailors' effort To ascertain what to do, inquire by lots. Jonah is guilty. E prime, sailors' efforts to ascertain what they must do, inquiry of Jonah. The party is guilty. F, sailors demand an explanation from Jonah. Tell us. Hagidah. F prime, sailors demand an explanation from Jonah because of what he had told them from the same root. Hagid. Climax. G, Jonah's testimony of what brought him to that point. Many others enjoy the book and use it in your teaching, in your exegesis, and watch for good articles on the subject in journals such as Journal of Biblical Literature, JBL, Vetus Testamentum, those kinds of works, Yucca, Hebrew Union College Annual, and on and on and on.
How would you suggest from a preaching and teaching standpoint, I know we talked about this some, but how far would you suggest that from the pulpit, for instance, or even in teaching a Sunday school curriculum or whatever, how far would you say this should be taken in terms of presentation? Because he's pretty exhausted here.
Well, I think just with, you don't have to know Hebrew to enjoy looking at the patterns. And once you know that's how they communicated, that's how I would present. And so when I have an overhead, I don't have an overhead with Roman numeral 1, capital A, B, Roman numeral 2, superimposed by me. I use the layout of the book. And once your audience, you don't clobber them with it. But first, I think do a little bit here and there of how did they communicate? This is how we communicate, but how did they? Linear ways like we do, but also parallel ways, which is more unique. But then use some examples that we do that, such as in our nurse, Goldilocks and all that. And so it's not something totally foreign to us. It's just not, we haven't seen how this applies to Scripture yet. But the thing to stress is, what is the author's focus, main point? What's the spotlight on? And in the symmetry, the spotlight is on that center item. And so that's what you want, to get across to them. But I would do it not so much verbally. I would do it by way of some good transparencies here and there, some good examples, and after a while, they understand. Oh, that's how they communicated, and that's what's being stressed. Preaching-wise, again, that's what I would stress. Well, let me give you an example here. You may take what you might do, let's say here you're dealing with chapters, not just one passage, but many chapters. So you're probably not going to be able to teach it, so to speak, or present it all at one time. What I would probably do is present this, so to speak, lesson 1, and then let it be known, hey, we are dealing with a parallel structure. And then teach this, which complements that, and then end with this as your conclusion.
So build to the central point.
Build to the central point. And so you build this, but then all of a sudden you start showing them that raises interest, And then finally, well, hey, what's the central point? And so you could have lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. Depending on how big it is, or lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, lesson 5, lesson 6, lesson 7.
Speaking of bigness, has anybody done that in the entire Bible to where D would be Christ, and then have on the opposite side, so tithe, anti-tithe? from Old Testament, New Testament, how it all comes down to Jesus? Or is that the...
I haven't seen exactly that. I mean, I've seen works on typology, but maybe something more sophisticated. But this is definitely doable because you're talking what they say the predominant number is what? 7. So I mean, it's not like predominant number is 49. And how are you going to control that? But 7 units, so to speak. If that's the norm. 13 gets a little more difficult, but 7. I mean, most people are, when they teach or they preach or whatever, they have a 3 or 4 points of their sermon anyways or lesson. So, but I think just kind of slowly working a group into it. And kind of the neat thing is if you're dealing with Bible study methods for brand new believers. Right out of the starting gate, if they understand a few of these things, then it's not even unusual or, it's just like, oh, okay. But I always use the English examples of how we've done this in our own culture, and it helps in the whole mental process of understanding. Well, we come to our final chapter here that we should accomplish, and just a 1-minute footnote on last night. I should have probably last night referred you to the map. We handed this out already, right? Take a look at it, because in the shaded area, remember some of these individuals were rulers of half districts and districts, Jerusalem, outside of Jerusalem, and leaders. Notice Tekoa is right here, just below Bethlehem. That was mentioned. There was the individual who was district leader in Beth Shur, that's there. Keilah is there. Beth HaKerem is there. Jericho was mentioned. Mizpah was mentioned. And so what do we know? We know that at that time there were a fair number of Jews that could constitute towns and cities living out and around Jerusalem. The big issue was Jerusalem, the mess Jerusalem was in. And then, I mean, in one way it gets a little bit sorry but almost even comical. Later in the book of Nehemiah, the problem is they can't get people who want to live in Jerusalem. So they actually have to set up this whole discussion and this whole plan to try to push people into Jerusalem, so to speak, kind of willingly and unwillingly with their arm up behind their back to live in there, to compensate them. Why? Because, it was a mess. And a lot, it wasn't like, hey, you could say, well, I'm going to get up this morning, I'm going to clean out the street. I mean, you're talking, things that have fallen down that you guys probably saw there, Jerusalem, the Wailing Wall, south of the Wailing Wall, not too many feet, these gigantic rocks, embedded 4 or 5 feet into the earth that go back to the Babylonian destruction of the temple. And what do you do? And so that was the situation. Now we're going to get into, in the translation here today, just simply there's too much rubble. What do you do with all the rubble? And where do you put it? And those kinds of issues. Okay, let's start with chapter 4. And we got all the way through 3?
No, we ended on verse 33 of chapter 3. There are 5 verses around.
Okay. What we got here? Okay, last verse we did was
32.
32, yes.
And that also was complete completing so to speak, the 52 days or the perimeter of the wall.
Oh, okay. Between the goldsmiths. Okay, who will do verse 1? Because we ended with the goldsmiths and the merchants working, right?
Right.
Okay.
In the passage in Mayhew, that when your friends heard that they had completed, in that verb there, built, bow, weave, that's the perfect tense there, isn't it? Boheme. As they built the wall, we're saying about her that they had built the wall or had finished or completed going all the way around.
But that the one's building. That the one's building. So it'd be what, a participle?
Well, we have verse 1 or verse 33.
33.
Because
Different Bibles have different numberings there. So
and it happened that when Sanballat heard that we built the wall,
yeah, that we, so to speak, the ones who were building the wall, the ones who were repairing the wall.
right, he got pretty angry.
Yeah, so
With a different kind of deal.
the term for anger there is what? What's the root? Yod, hate, resh. To burn. To be angry. It came about when Sanballat heard that we, the ones who were rebuilding the wall, were rebuilding the wall. Then he became
indignant or hotly contentious or relative to negative.
So you have anger, and then you have what? What do you do with ka'as?
Indignation.
It's to be extremely upset. Greatly upset. What did he do? Yeah, he mocked all. Okay. And yeah, he said before in the presence of his brothers and the
army of Seminary?
Yeah. Shomron is Samaria. Now circle that. Kael Shomron. Why? Because the Samaritans simply are not a ragtag group to the north. They're ones who are organized. They have a capital city. They have a long history. By this time, they've been up there 300 years. And they have a established army. So it's not like, hey, there's these, marauding bands of Samaritans that are hanging out. I mean, they have an army. So, hey, they can fight, they can attack and all of that. And so it's this ragtag Jewish group, so to speak, and this organized oppressor to the north. They're half-breeds. They're half-breeds, so to speak. In other words, in 586, 605, 597, 586, there's the Babylonian exile, but before that, the Assyrian in 722, the Assyrians take Israel, the northern kingdom, out, and they bring back people from the area of Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran today, and they put them into these cities, towns, and villages where the northern kingdom used to be. They hadn't taken all the Jews away, so these individuals coming in, who were basically polytheistic, started over time to intermarry, have children, and what they do is they accept just the first 5 books of Moses out of the Old Testament as their religious books, and they start a cult of Judaism called Samaritanism. And the Jews looked at them as a cult and didn't like them because they had tampered with God's Word. And even the 5 books of Moses, they edited to be concerning them, the Samaritans, and not the Jews. So the central mountain was not Mount Sinai or Mount Moriah. Central mountains were Mount Ebal, Mount Gerizim. And so, 300 years later, by the time of Jesus, there is a lot of tension between these two groups. There have been wars. There was a war where a Jewish general went up and destroyed their temple and killed a lot of the Samaritans about more than 100 years before Jesus was born. And there's just a lot of bad blood between these two groups. That's why when you read Acts 1:8, read Acts 1:8. He says to a Jewish crowd in Jerusalem, "You are to be my witnesses in Jerusalem." Yeah. In Judea. Yeah. In Samaria. Stone silence. To the rest of the world. Lord, why couldn't you have just made the great commandment, the Great Commission easy? Just say Jerusalem, Judea, the world. Because then the Samaritans could have gotten lost in the world. But he said Samaria. And the interesting thing is, in Acts, it shows, Acts 1:8, that command. In chapters 2 through 5 and 6, it shows them, his disciples, reaching out in Jerusalem. And then in 6 to 8, Judea. But then in 8 to 10, it shows Philip reaching out in Samaria. And then chapters 13 to the end of Acts to the whole world, so to speak. So we do see that they took the command seriously, even to the point where Jews were starting to minister in Samaria. And that was just, to the Jews, there was nobody worse than a Samaritan. They had nothing good to say about them. If you were in the marketplace and you brushed up against a Samaritan, some rabbis were saying you were ceremonially unclean, you couldn't eat with them, you couldn't talk with them. So when Jesus takes his disciples up to Samaria, they basically say to him, "What to Samaria?" Nobody goes to Samaria. It's so bad. How bad was it? That you had Samaria right in here. And so if you were coming from the Galilee, they would cross the Jordan River, go down here, cross back to come up to Jerusalem. They would double the length of their trip so they would not have to go through Samaria. Well, people had lost their life. And then Jesus goes out teaching, and what does he do? He uses a Samaritan as a good guy in his story with a Jewish crowd. I mean, you talk about stone silence. And and then when he says to him, "Well, which Good Samaritan, which one did right?" They wouldn't even say the word Samaritan. They said, "Yeah, the guy that showed." So he offsets the Samaritan with 2 Jewish religious leaders to a Jewish crowd, which was a big no-no in Judaism, but Jesus didn't. Yeah. And he said, yeah, what do we do with the adjective there? What's the root of the adjective after the Jews? Yeah, they're weak.
People, weak, Assam,
And he basically is asking a question, what are these weak Jews
doing, making, or restoring, to revive, and will they?
Hazevaku? Are they going to,
Sacrifice.
are they going to, will they do their sacrifices? That's the idea. Will they complete this?
Finish it today, by Yom in a day. To live? Is that an imperative?
Chai, it's from Chai.
Today, to live.
Continuing the questions, can they bring back to life the Ha'avanim,
Stone
the stones,
from out of the heap.
the piles of stone, the debris,
And they which are
so it's rubble, even the fact that it's charred. It's been in a fire. Va'tovia ha'amoni, ate slow, and Tobiah the Ammonite understood at his side. Whose side?
virus side. No, at
Sanballat.
about
What did he say?
did also that which that which they build goes okay. They build it up, they erect it, but
Shaul,
fox,
or I should say Shu'al. Yeah, if a fox goes up upon it, that idea,
will break through.
yeah.
They break through. There's no just continuing talking.
Well, in other words, even what they're rebuilding, it's so lousy. If a wild animal goes up on it, even a small one, it's just going to start falling apart. So how are they going to use this to protect them? That's kind of what's being communicated. Next verse.
Here, our God, Mayhew. Here, our God, key,
Because we are
held
Buzai.
or can be contempted, held in contempt.
Mm-hmm.
And he's asking them a question to turn it back. Without,
Return their
we've had this word before.
Artham, return their mockery upon
Their head.
their heads and
Give them, give them to I guess it's like a spoil of war sort
where?
in the land had that word before.
Of the captivity, of the exile.
Cover not, Lord. Cover not their, again, this
to what you explained, the three types of sin.
Yes, sir. You should have two words next to each other circled there.
Their iniquity, discover not their iniquity nor their sin. That's what we're talking about.
So we have a form of avon, iniquity. We have, of course, chata, sin, two of the categories. Okay.